Welcome to Pivot Talks with PC. My name is Pauline Caballero, and we're talking change. It isn't coming, it's here. All right, everyone, welcome. I'm super excited today to be here with my dear friend and also sort of the brains behind all of the photography images that you've seen of me and my family, and really even our other business, Power Yoga Canada, Nicole Lewis, otherwise known as @Blonde Coffee Bean. So I'm so happy to have you here, Nicole. I feel
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So just for some context for all of you listening, Nicole and I actually live on the same street. Our kids play together. And so it's really natural for us to be having a conversation. But I thought, instead of us just having a conversation over Moscow mules, we could talk a little bit about your career, because I actually, girl, don't know a lot about it. And I would love to hear a little bit about how you made a pivot and shift into your career. But maybe before we get started, you can tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I've been doing photography now for, I'm going to say, since Harrison was born. So about 10 years, maybe more seriously in the last 5. I've always liked photography. I mean, I remember being a little girl running to the drugstore with my little film in a plastic bag and trying to, see what I would get back. So I always have had a love for photography. But I think once I had kids, once the children came, then I just wanted to capture every single detail that we know goes so fast. All those, those little fleeting moments, just really everything from the crumbs on their face, their first steps, their dimply fingers, just all those moments. I just started there, and they were my reason, I guess. And it's been going ever since.
Oh, I love that. It's so interesting. It's funny because so many of us talk about following our passion, and it sounds like that's something that you are actually able to do.
Yeah, I've never really looked at it like that, but you're right. Yeah, I have. Yeah, and I feel blessed because I do love what I do, for sure. Yeah, I love it.
There's this quote by Maya Angelou that says, "Courage is the mother of all virtues." And I'm just curious, what had you take that step, and just take the step and have courage to follow through with your passion?
For sure. Yeah. And I'm not one that, on the outside looking, I wouldn't say that I am the type of person. Courage I wouldn't use, I guess, is the word I wouldn't use for me. But I guess it did take courage. And I just sort of stepped out. I fell in love with it. It started sort of more or less with friends sort of, asking me to take photos of their kids. But I remember, being that my first client, my first paid client, and being just terrified, to be honest. But I did it. Yeah, I did it. And I kept doing it, and I just kept growing. I made lots of mistakes along the way. I look back now and I kind of cringe at some of those first shoots, but I guess that's how we all grow.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess it did take courage, because I hummed and hawed for a long time about whether to do it. And then I finally just was like, Nicole, you need to do this. You can do this. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, sometimes it just takes that, right? It just takes 30 seconds of courage to just jump off the ledge. And
for sure.
What, I mean, maybe it's tough to pinpoint, but what would you say was the reason that you just decided to make that leap?
I think it was something, one that I loved, that I genuinely just had a passion for. And I think I knew that, I wanted to be able to take those photos for my own children, and to savor those moments. And I knew there were so many others out there that I could do that for, and give them those moments as well. I think, it helped that, I was really a stay-at-home mom up until this point. So it was great. It allowed me to sort of work around my kids and my own schedule. So yeah, I think I just stepped in, and I didn't really look back. I just kind of kept going, and yeah. And here we are extremely busy. Well, minus pandemic life, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've been responsible for the look and feel for many different brands, myself included. And it's pretty inspiring to think of like that it just started with following your passion. And
Yeah.
that's something that not all of us get to do.
Yeah, I love that I love looking at it this way because, yeah, I never really thought of it that way, to be honest. But yeah, I feel blessed. I mean, the branding thing is a little bit on the newer side for sure. And now, sort of with the pandemic and lockdown, that's sort of really the only thing we're allowed to be doing is this sort of commercial. So I'm trying to pivot a little more into that. Ideally, I'd like to continue on with that, but that's more on the new side. But I've been fortunate, yeah, like you said, to work with several brands, and I have a few more coming up. So that's exciting because I'm forever learning. I mean, this is just endless. I'm constantly learning and taking courses and asking questions. It never ends, really.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, I loved you saying that sort of that it fit into your personal life, right? Like stay-at-home mom and really
Mhm.
wanting to create this schedule that works for you. It's interesting
Absolutely.
because like the last podcast or one of the podcasts that I did, because I don't know when we're releasing this one, but the
Yeah.
last podcast that I did was I really talked about core values
Hmm.
and core values really being the barometer on how we make all decisions.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I shared on that podcast is that four of my core values is health, family, love, and growth.
Amazing. Yeah.
But what would you say would be your core values? Because it's very interesting because it's right there.
It is. I mean, family, I think would be number one. Family and health for sure. But like you said, being able to work around the kids and not missing all of those moments. And people ask me all the time, why have you never gotten into weddings? And I think the number one reason is because I want to be home with my children on Saturdays. Like it's just so I think family would be my number one. And this has allowed me, to have a career, but also to be a full-time mom, really.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, what would you say for those people that are listening? Because I mean, I'm sure that there are other budding photographers just like yourself that's starting off by wanting to capture their family moments. Like, what advice would you have for someone that's looking to make this into a career?
Yeah. I mean, just really go for it. If you really have the passion for it, and you have the eye, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think, reach out to anyone. I mean, just this morning I was helping, a fellow photographer over Instagram with just a few questions. But I think just jump in, just go for it, and start small. Like, start with your family and your friends, and you know and just build from there, I guess. um but yeah, because I looking back, I wish I would have started sooner. So I think I waited and waited and waited, and I'm like, wow, if I would have started, the 5-6 years before, where would I be at now? So I think I would tell those people to just jump in with both feet.
I love it. I love that jumping in with both feet because I mean, you
Right.
guys know me. I love the whole jumping off the edge and
Yes, you do.
yeah, it's
Yes,
actually
you
like
do.
one of
Yeah.
the quotes in the book. It's like, "Come to the edge," he said. They said, "We are
Yes,
afraid." Come to the
that's
edge, he
right.
said.
That's
They
right.
came. He pushed them, and they flew. So, what's the edge for Nicole Lewis right now?
Ooh, what's the edge? I mean, I just want to keep going. I mean, I want to be better for sure. Like, and that's the good thing about this is I'm not bored in photography. Like, it's just forever changing, new techniques. I mean, equipment, just, yeah. I mean, there's so much to learn constantly. So I want to keep going, and I want to get better. I would like to see a little bit more of the branding perhaps coming in. um, it's been nice. Children are obviously, I think children, I'll always go back to children. They always have my heart, kids and children. But, working with some of the brands, it's so different. I'm so used to being on the floor and singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star to these little guys. And then I get in a room with adults and I'm like, okay, just stand there. It's a different world. But yeah, I just want to keep discovering different things, I guess. Yeah. Hmm.
Like really growing and scaling. And what do you see as like one of your biggest obstacles in scaling and growing?
It's a good question. That's a great question. I don't know, probably myself. I mean, probably I think we all hold ourselves back, or some of us, and I feel like really because it's out there. I mean, it can be done. I mean, there's so many people for so many different, there's so, I'm big on community over competition, like yourself, right? And there's so many photographers, and people will ask me that sometimes, like, how do you stand out, or how do you worry? There's so many, but there's so many people, and everybody has a style. And I just, yeah, I mean, maybe one day teaching, I think, would be something that would be something. Yeah, even just, for starter photography for moms, and you know, that way they can document their moments of their children, especially now. I talk to so many mothers during this pandemic, and they've missed the newborn, they've missed the maternity, they've missed the first birthdays, and it would be so nice to be able to help them, capture those moments at home.
Oh, I love that. Like a do-it-yourself, a DIY with Nicole.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some questions coming off of this podcast, because I know our listeners are not just all in the Greater Toronto area, which is where Nicole and I are. But there's definitely people internationally. I love that idea of just expanding your reach through teaching.
Yes, you're going to help me with that, right?
Oh, I'm down. Are you kidding me?
You're my girl.
Project. Yeah. I'm down. And
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. You can be my push. Yeah.
It's so interesting. Instagram was actually, it was actually founded in the labs of Kodak. And it was, that they invented and they never went to market with. The idea of Instagram, that concept. And I mean, it's just interesting to hear you share like that you as a little girl, you had your film and then you had it in your hand. Yeah. And then here you are, sort of an Instagram influencer, because that's really who you are.
Right. Yeah. Instagram is really everything. I mean, that is the market. I ask everybody, how did you find me? And it's either, referral from a friend or Instagram. Mm-hmm. It's never Facebook. It's very rarely my website. It's Instagram. Yeah, it's an amazing.
Yeah. And then, but what do you feel like is the exposure from that perspective? Like the way some of us have built our business around social media. Do you have any concern or fear around that?
I mean, people, some people will ask, like, what happens when Instagram goes, and they'll be the next best thing. And I kind of try not to look at that, because that's the reality. I mean, but the truth is, when I started photography, I wasn't really on Instagram at that time. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, whether it's Instagram or another app. I think social media and the presence, I mean, that's where we're at. That's the future, I think. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Instagram or something else, but it's powerful. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I love this. Like, I love everything that you're sharing here, like really focusing around your core values of family, and then creating a passion around that. And then really envision, like in Pivot, in the book Pivot, we talk about the vision and creating a vision board for a strong future in which you want to live into. So yeah, I invite all of you guys listening to take a look at that chapter of her vision boarding, because it sounds like Nicole has already created that vision board of DIY courses.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Yeah. I would like to see that happen for sure. I think that would be my next goal. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, for sure.
What advice would you have for anyone who's just here listening and still just a little bit timid, just a little bit afraid? Like, what if no one reaches out? What if no one calls me? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, that was me. That was me forever. Like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I would constantly look at all these other photographers. Why would anyone pick me over them? And I think, like I said, it's really just jumping in if you really know that that's what you want to do. And I think when it comes to photography, maybe more specifically, I think, if you have an eye, you have an eye, there's people that, I'm friends with on Instagram, and I'm just like, they'll message me and they'll say, I'm thinking about, and I'm like, 100%, like, you have the eye, do it. There's just, I would say, just yeah, try not to be scared. Like I said already, like I was so scared and didn't take the plunge for a long time. And yeah, and I mean, you're never, yeah, just do it. Just jump in. Just go for it. I know, it's really kind of that simple. Just do it, right? We're our own worst enemy for holding ourselves back. Like, yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Nicole, first of all, I can't thank you enough
Oh
for
goodness.
everything. And it goes way beyond just joining me here on
Yeah.
the
Right back at you. Right back at you. I love you. You know that.
Ditto, girl. And I really appreciate the way in which you have up levels just our images and the
Aw,
eye that you have and the care that you have in every photo that you
thank
take.
you. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank
thanks for having me on. This was fun.
I can't wait
You're
to.
already pushing me out of my comfort zone. We're doing it.
Well, for those of you that are listening here, definitely follow at Blonde Coffee Bean on Instagram. Wait for her course on how to create your own photos coming soon, TBD. And we'll make sure that we include it in the show notes. So thank you all. And for those of you that are interested in becoming a pivot accountability coach, check it out. We're going to be launching some programs this summer and in the fall, and I would love to have you. Thanks again, Nicole.
Thank you for having me. Take care. Love you. Talk soon.